The logistics for today, we're not a very big class. So all you have to do is say, excuse me, David, or something to that kind, and ask your question. I've given this program to larger audiences virtually. You'll see 2 or 3 intermission slides, kind of where I think are logical breakpoints. So we don't have to hold our questions with a smaller group like this. So if there's something you need a little bit of clarity on, I'm happy to do so. So just to interrupt, excuse yourself. What you may want to do in case there's any background noise, keep yourself on mute until you have a question, just so there's no accidental background noise. And as you might suspect, social media, digital marketing, these are tremendously big topics. There's more than one book written on the subject. And so what you'll find is we're not going to deep dive into a lot of how do I do this in Facebook? How do I do this in Instagram? We're not doing specific platforms and programs. What I want to use this program for really is an introduction, because I find that the people that usually join this program, and it seems like for most of you it's the case, applying social media strategy and digital marketing strategy is brand new. So I want to introduce it to you. I want you to be able to have heard it before when the next time you talk to someone. And so that way, when you start hearing some phrases or terms or the names of programs or apps out there, that they may be relevant. And also, just because I say something about Facebook or Amazon, they may not be the right platform for you, for your genre, for the information, for your audience. You'll have to find that out yourself. We will talk about audience and how to help identify an audience. So just because one social media platform is the biggest or the baddest or whatever, doesn't mean it's the best or worst for you. You'll have to figure that all out on your own. The other thing is what's been in the news lately, if you are brave enough to watch the news, is that someone from Facebook, a mid-level manager, has been unmasked or has revealed herself as I guess a watchdog, and has talked about her experience at Facebook and concerns that she has with them as a company and other social media strategy. Politicians have begun to weigh in on that as well. I'm not really here to talk about the politics of social media. We might start a small discussion on it. Anything that I talk about is my opinion. A lot of this revelation is all very new, and I don't want us to get into a disagreement or an argument. But if I can help clarify some of those points that have come up, if those are your questions, and if I know the answer, because remember, a lot of it's still new, I'll be happy to answer it. Otherwise, I may simply say, I'm sorry, I just can't really comment on that. I don't have a good answer for you. So I really want this to be informational, not political at all. And just want to know, since that's hot in the news, just be aware, we may not deep dive into any of the political or recent events. All right, so just kind of the ground rules of the program. So certainly I do want to welcome you. Welcome to the Princeton Adult School program of Social Media Strategy for Authors. And you are all authors, so congratulations and good for you. And so we're gonna begin to introduce you to some of the topics, some of the apps that are available, a little bit about what strategy could be like. So we'll really talk about how you can approach using social media, using things that are online to help promote your writing, your books, the information, trying to reach your audience. That's really what the goal of this. It's an introduction to just those topics. And so the curtain opens. And so I will introduce myself. You all introduced yourself at the beginning. Thank you very much. So I'm an information technology consultant, and my company is Princeton Technology Advisors. And so you all seem to be in Central New Jersey. I am as well. And so that is my company. We do a lot of different things. We do website maintenance. So if you have a website and you need a little help with your support, I can help with that. Technology managed services. So if you need virus protection, or if you have a small office with maybe more than one person, you need to get them all networked. I have a relationship with people that work with me on all sorts of things, so I can help with that. Project management and technology implementation. So if you're individual and solopreneurs, this is probably a little less important, but the types of projects may be helping you find some good technology that may be able to make you be more efficient or effective. So help you find just the right products. So I'm happy to help with that. And SEO, or search engine optimization, search engine marketing, email marketing. So I do help my clients with those topics as well. My clients are all small business or not-for-profit organizations, but typically that don't have their own IT resources. And I am, well, no longer or not recently an active blogger, but I do have tech topics that I write about. My tech topics are written for lay people, not the heavy-duty tech people. So it is directly accessible through my website, Princeton Tech Advisors, or of course through the website directly, Tech Topics for You. So if you have any curiosity about, virus protection or data backup, or what is that ransomware stuff I hear so much about, I have topics on all those, but they're written for the layperson without a lot of technical terms. So you may find some of these interesting and handy. I just haven't been very attentive to keeping the blogs up lately, but there are probably 100 posts there, so some may be of interest. So the first thing is, let's talk about really what is social media. And so I found this definition, and I thought this was perfect, and I wanted to share with you. It is the collective of online communications channels, and notice that's underlined, we're going to talk about that. It's the collective of online communication channels dedicated to community-based input, interaction, content sharing, and collaboration. I did not make this up. There was something I had read a while ago, and I was doing my research along the way, and I read this and thought this is a perfect description of what social media is, and I wanted always to be able to share that with my students. But there was always in the back of my mind one little problem with this. And the little problem is it's kind of complicated. It's not really very clear. And so I kind of boiled it down. You're using the internet to share information with other people. That's really what social media is about. And so the internet is your wwws and your Googles and your asks and all those. And you have information you want to post or provide, and you're hoping other people will view it or they'll share it with others going forward. So it's using the internet to share information with other people. And here are some of those communication channels. Now, not all of these will apply to you, your audience, your genre. That's okay. And there are probably others that we can add here. But what this is called, this picture, it's called Spoken Hub. The hub is the center. And right now in this picture, the center is your website. So you should have your own website that talks about you, your interests as an author, the topic or topics you like to publish. You can have links to your books and where they're posted and where they can be sold, other things as well. But you want the hub of your social media strategy, your online strategy, to be your website. And then there are little lines that connect to all these other things, and those are called spokes. And the spokes connect the hub to other social media channels. And so that's what this is for. So it could be sometimes you're doing some email marketing, and when you're doing email marketing, you draw people back to your website. On your website, you may draw people to your e-commerce. You're selling your book online, or someone finds you online and then comes back to your website. PPC is pay-per-click, which is an online strategy. Mobile computing. So there's a lot of things, public relations. And so there's a lot of things that could be your online strategy. Some search engine optimization, again, SEO. So we'll be talking about a lot of these over the next hour or so that we're together. But I wanted to let you know, this is the strategy I subscribe to. I think it works well and may work well for you. And by the way, you don't need to have a strategy that has all, what are these, 9 of these things. So, yours may start with 1 or 2 spokes. Don't worry, you'll always start off slow and then you'll move on to others. But really, why is online presence important? Well, your readers expect you to be there. If you start having a little bit of a following, they're going to want to learn more about you. They're going to want to find out more about you, and they're going to do that online. People that don't know you are searching all the time for products and information. So if they're searching for products and information and you want yours to be found, you have to be online as well, so you have the opportunity to be found. Professional websites, professional social media sites, they really give you and your brand credibility, right? So I like what Jeff Bezos describes as brand. Brand is what people say about you when you're not in the room. So these help promote, these sites and social media presence help promote your brand and create an online presence for you. You begin to demonstrate your interests, your knowledge, your expertise, because you may be writing books, you may be writing articles, but you have probably narrowed it to within the topic of your subject, especially if you write a novel, which is, well, it's usually based on not real information, it's fiction. So, but you want people to know a little bit more about you and your motivation and why you're important and why you're interested in these topics. So you get to demonstrate that through your website. You can talk more broadly. If you're not yet known, this is where people are going to find out about you. And so that becomes very important. And the bottom line is, if you are not found online, you're irrelevant. Now, I don't mean to say at all that your topics are irrelevant, that your novels are irrelevant, that your writing is irrelevant, but when people are using Google or Bing or the other search engines, they're not searching for you, they're searching topically, and hopefully you'll be found along with others that come up as well. And if you're not found, they don't know about you. Now, in order to benefit from social media, and we can exchange the words social media for digital marketing. They're really much the same. But you really need to have a strategy that takes into account what you're trying to achieve. There are a lot of people that go onto these social media sites and just publish, but without a goal. And what happens is the social media world, the Google world, the Bing world that's out there really likes to find, when it finds you in multiple places, kind of see that the information among those places is the same or similar. And so you really need to have understand just what it is. So you'll want to make sure you identify what are you trying to achieve. And we'll be talking about audiences and other things here that may be helpful to clarify that view in a little bit. And so here's a really kind of a high level of a social media strategy. Now remember, you can download the slides, the pictures will be available, they're on my website now, but you can do screenshots if that's helpful too. But just want to talk about kind of the goal setting process and the strategy process. You set some goals, you try and figure out who you're writing for, not just in your novels and your books and your articles, but who you're trying to reach in social media. You find the platforms that are best for your audience. You start writing some content and letting them know more about what you're writing about. For some people, it's writing pieces or publishing pieces of existing articles. For some, it's complementary information. And then you start implementing and publishing that. And you want to look at the results. How am I doing a week, a month later? Am I starting to get hits on my website? I'm starting to get likes on my pages. If it's working well, if it's not working well, you start adjusting. What can I do differently? And you modify your goals. So sometimes this is an iterative process. So about your goals, you have to know your audience. You have to know who you want to engage with. A cute story is my mother is in her mid-80s, and she a few years ago started a band. Now, not a band herself, a jazz band, a jazz ensemble group, and it's called Sidemen. And it's basically people who are very talented artists. She brought them together, and these are people that either sang or played on big name as backup singers and backup artists to big names. And what she said was, I don't care. I just want it out there. Tell everybody about me. And we began to talk about it, and to tell everybody about you is actually a very expensive proposition. And we began to do that. She realized, all right, you don't have to tell everybody because you're spending money for an audience that may not be interested. So if she's interested in publishing jazz music, promoting jazz music, the hip hop crowd may not be interested. The rock and roll crowd may not be interested. So know your audience. Identify what type of content you want to post. It may be individual articles on some of the websites. It may be articles on sites that are built for specific interests. You may want to do more photographs to support, or images to support, or videos to support your content. Once you understand your audience, you can understand the content. And then where and how often you'll post. You know, some people ask me, well, probably it'll come up here, how often should I post? Every day, every week, every month? One of my friends answers a lot of questions with these two words. It depends. So it depends on your audience, certainly. One of my clients posts 5 days a week, and that's works and resonates with her clients. She's a life coach, and that's what works for her. And be aware of how to use the different apps and different channels effectively. So sometimes just kind of putting it all on the wall, right, and hoping something sticks. Sometimes that works, sometimes that doesn't. So you're spending a lot of time and energy on things that don't work well. So make sure you understand if you think Facebook is a good place to be, or if you think Instagram or Amazon, any of the Amazon products, understand how to use them effectively. And then what do you want to have as a result? So some people say, I want to sell more books. Well, then you need to be able to position yourself so that people can easily buy books. Maybe you just want more likes, more views, more hits. You're going to write and publish and promote differently in social media if that's what your goal is. So you need to understand what your result of your activity should be. So when you think about your audience, who is your audience? Certainly could be that nice group of people on the slide deck there. Your audience is always who you want to reach in social media. And among all of us on this class today, we have potentially different audiences, different types of people that we want to reach. And so you need to understand who it is. There may be 2 or 3 subsets of audiences that you want to reach, and you need to reach them differently. So you need to understand who they are. So you need to communicate in a way that's important to your audience. When you understand what's important to your audience, then you can talk to them, quote unquote, talk to them in the social media platforms in different ways that's appropriate for them. Sometimes your audience is consumer-based or retail-based. So you may want to write in layperson terms, terms that they will understand. If you remember a few minutes ago, I said I write tech topics. Tech topics could be very difficult to understand. But I believe my audience is more consumer-based, not industry-based. So I write to them in that fashion, not using a lot of tech terms and jargon. If your audience tends to be very tight in a certain industry, then you can use industry-based terms, and that is perfectly fine. There's one person that I met along the way doing this class. They write novels based on political history. Might be one was about World War II, but it was not a true. It was a true event, but the story in the novel was a fiction story. So there was a lot of detail about, it was World War II, about World War II. So use those very specific terms. Also, if you're writing like self-help manuals and guides and things like that to a specific technical industry, if you don't use technical terms, they're not going to think you're an expert. They're going to think you're not someone to take seriously. So different types of audiences that may be out there. This was from an article I read on New York Times not long ago. The personal reader. And so these could be your fans, your friends, your families. Maybe you have clients or business associates. These are people that are really reading your book, or people that should be reading your book. So that's one type of audience that an author may typically have. And so you'll have to find the platforms where these people, this part of the audience, frequently shows up. You also have the Bookstore Browser. And so this is someone that goes into a physical bookstore. Sadly, not as many bookstores in place as they used to be, but they don't know you, but they might see your book on when shopping. And so they'll pick it up. So maybe it's what you put on the the book jacket that's very important. Or maybe you are publishing or promoting a reader event at the bookstore. Maybe the bookstore has a website, and you can ask if you can publish or promote a little information there. So the Bookstore Browser, even the online Bookstore Browser, may want to find you or stumble across you. They may want you part of your audience. People who buy books for other people. So a couple of you have mentioned your professors. So you are among those people. Executives. I had worked for a company. We were changing a paradigm in how we were working and attacking project management. And one of the senior vice presidents went out and bought about 12 copies of this one book that he thought was very inspirational for him. And so it was a book about how Disney, the Disney organization, approached project management. So sometimes there are people like that, so you have to write to them and promote to them differently. The retail buyer, now that's not the bookstore buyer, the one browser that we mentioned before. This is the person who actually buys books for their store's inventory. So this is the decision maker. And I guess this can also be true for libraries. If you reach out to local libraries, Find out who at libraries makes a decision about which books that they put in their stacks. Sometimes it's done at a county level, private libraries at an individual level, so you have to find the right person as well. And of course, the media. You will want to ideally be able to reach people that are in the media that can take an interest and then can begin talking about your book and your publications in their own forums, to their own audience, right? The biggest one around, I guess, is the Oprah Book Club. So if Oprah reads your book and talks about it, there's a good chance you'll get a lot of attention that way. So what should social media be about? It really is about the other people. Most people think social media is about me, how you can help me, buy my book, listen to me, like me, vote for me, agree with me. I'm telling you, so you have to agree with me. And a lot of politicians do this. I'm not trying to get political, but that's their thing. Let me show you how to help me. That's their kind of message. But really what social media is about is how can we, who are writing stuff, how can I help you? Because the people that we help are going to be most interested in turn to help us. So, and that's true with anything. Think about anytime anyone's ever asked you for a referral. Hey, do you know a good plumber? And you'll say, oh yeah, my plumber is Joe the plumber. And then what happens is Joe gets some business because of you. Joe helped you with your plumbing problem. You were very happy. And then in turn, you did actually help them. So you want to provide information. You want to share information. So it's really the quality of the information that you provide, not the quantity. You don't have to be on Twitter and Instagram and YouTube and Facebook and LinkedIn and all these. You don't have to be on all those places, but you want to, whatever you promote and publish in social media and digital market, you want it to be helpful to the people, of interest to them, so that they have a lot of value. So it's really good quality information. And always you want to direct people to your website. So if you don't yet have a website, you may want to consider building a website as well. And remember that spoken hub diagram where the hub is your website. Okay. Now here are a list of some very effective B2B platforms, business to business platforms. This is a list from last year. I started publishing this list, not publishing this, I don't publish lists, but promoting this list in my class about 2018 or so. And so this shows statistically, if you know nowhere else where you should be and your audience is a business audience, LinkedIn is the #1 platform that you want to be on. And so that becomes very important. Also Twitter, a very big platform to be on. Facebook is of course very big, and more video is being used, but not a lot of companies in B2B have done a lot with videos. Some have, but not a lot have. So if a lot of your content is going to be more to the business sector, remember B2B, then you may want to start using LinkedIn. You may want to start using Twitter. Again, we're not deep diving in how to use these. You could take a class on each one of these to get started. We just don't have the time here. And then there are some other ones that are just there on the right, also part of social media. Some of these that you've heard of. Snapchat, TikTok. Snapchat's kind of a little passe right now. A lot of young people use it. Pinterest is very big for video. TikTok is becoming a bigger platform also for video. So you may start to look into those. Those platforms also tend to be used by a younger audience. Now for B2C, business to consumer, the retail market, notice that Facebook jumped right up to the top and LinkedIn went to the bottom. So these would be the platforms that you may want to consider, starting with Facebook, Instagram, and of course YouTube, if you're going to be promoting your writing to a B2C, a consumer audience. And again, so this is B2C. And by the way, this link on the bottom, that's the whole article. The other page has its link as well, that HTTP. So when you download the presentation and come to this page, you can actually click on it. It will be an active link and you can go right to it. You don't have to just type that whole long thing in. So we haven't had any interruptions or Q&A. And so here's one of my intermission slides. If you have any questions right now and you want to ask before we move too far along into this, happy to answer them. Just unmute yourself and let me know. If not, we'll move on. And there'll be plenty of time at the end as well. Okay, I guess it's so far so good. So then we will move along. And again, you can just unmute yourself as we move into this. Okay, so now we talked a little bit about why we want to use social media and the importance of it. Let's talk about some of the websites that are out there for authors. Amazon. Some of you may have heard of Amazon. Used to be called Amazon.com. Now it's Amazon. And Amazon, of course, started out as an online bookseller in 1994. Now they are the very largest e-tailer in the world. Notice I said e-tail, not retail, because they are doing all of their selling online. They've branched out quite extensively. You can order something online and have it delivered either to your home, of course, or delivered to other retail stores like Whole Foods and other places. So they've got very big. And if you want, Jeff Bezos can launch you into space. So that's another thing that they're getting themselves into. They have these 3 different self-publishing services that are out there. One is called Publish to Kindle, and this is free. This is a free program that helps you as an author self-publish your book as ebook. So very important. If you're having a hard time finding a publisher, you can use this. It is completely free. Why is it completely free? Because they get a percentage of your book sale. That's why. Okay. So there's also something called Publish to Print. And what you can do is you can create and publish and distribute your books in print worldwide. And what's nice is it can be published and printed on demand. So some people, you don't want to keep a big inventory around. It can be published to print. Now, we're not deep diving into the how-to and the where-to, but Amazon does provide help to use these services. And the other place you can publish is to audio, where you can hire a speaker or you can read your book yourself, and you could publish your audiobook. We're going to talk about other audiobook sites as well. And so they call it their audiobook creation exchange. So they give you tools in each of these self-publishing services to help you begin to publish your content. So that's what is out there on Amazon directly. And actually, we'll talk about, I think, 1 or 2 that used to be independents that are now owned by Amazon as well. Again, this is a live link. This will get you to the beginning places on Amazon to find more about these publishing services. There's something called Author Central. This is another Amazon service as well. You create your own, kind of like your own homepage on Amazon. You've probably seen these before. If you go to Amazon and you look for a specific author, you might find his or her book or list of books. You might click on one of those books to read a little bit more about it. And there may be a link, an active link on the author's name that goes to the author's page. And that's what you could do. You can create your own author's page. So it's kind of your home page on Amazon. You can add your biography, a photo or 2, links to your blog, your videos, and a lot more. So there's a lot you can publish. And since that Amazon is the #1 website for e-commerce, which is using the internet to sell things, this may be a good place for you to begin to promote on Amazon. Also, it gives you the opportunity to track your sales data, sales trends, where your books are selling. Also, you'll be able to, when you post your books on Amazon and your postings, you'll be able to select 1 or more categories. And so you'll see which categories are drawing well, which are not doing as well. You may want to get out of the ones that are not doing well. Okay. And they have a staff to help you. So you can get help as an author to your Q&A, to your questions to help solve some of your problems. So you could do it through email, and I believe they still have daytime phone support. So daytime phone support means, don't do it in the middle of the night. Daytime is going to be a lot better. Okay. Oh, by the way, I had learned something from a publishing consultant. I don't think I have a slide for it, but since I mentioned you could track your sale trends by the category that you place your book, you may want to find a very obscure category that's really on the fringes of what your book is about. And Amazon, I don't recall if they allow you to create categories anymore. So if yours is a book about history, there's probably a gazillion books on history. If your book was on the history of Princeton, and so there are probably some books on the history of Princeton. And if yours was the history of Princeton professors, there's probably less. And here's what you do. You publish your book or you promote your book in the most minuscule category you can find, one that does not have a lot of author and book competition. And then you start promoting the heck out of your book for about a week or two, and maybe get people to buy the book for a very short period of time. You might just need a dozen sales. And now you might be the #1 selling book in that obscure category. And it'll be absolutely true. And so then what you begin to write as content, I'm the, 6 weeks as the #1 book in Princeton professor history. I'm just making up a category because I was thinking of Robert. So you may want to look into doing that as well. Just, and then shift back to the industry or the category you're most relevant to, but you could still promote that you were this #1. Everyone likes to find out more about #1. Audible. Audible is now owned by Amazon. So it is audible.com, but behind the scenes, they are owned by Amazon. And so they are a very large seller and producer of audio entertainment, spoken word and whatnot. So this may be an opportunity for you as you do your audiobooks. So the participants who are the members who go on Audible, they want to listen to digital books and radio programs and TV shows. If you have podcasts, may be a good place as well. And as an author, this is a place for you to publish, promote, and maybe even sell your works as well. And so you can also sell directly and link directly through Amazon. And the reason why is because it is now an Amazon company. So Amazon likes Amazon, and they make links to Amazon properties very easy. If you want a free trial, try Audible when you're ready. They have a 30-day free trial, so that's where you can get on and play with it and look around and practice a little bit. If you feel that it's right for you, this is their subscription price. Now, there are other sites we're going to talk about subscription prices as well. You might just want to start with one, so make sure you get good at it before you start investing in lots of them. Goodreads is a terrific site. This is not owned by Amazon. They are called Goodreads. It is owned by Amazon. My mistake. I usually put the Amazon logo. So, but it is now owned by Amazon. They have an audience of over 90 million book lovers. So these are people like you and me who may be reading books. And what you do in Goodreads is to, they want to help you to more easily find or share as an author books that you love. You'll be creating lists of books, and you'll begin to talk about them. You'll post, why did I like this book, and so forth. So for users, there's a free model. It's you can add books to your personal bookshelf, so you can people can see your books. You can rate them. You can review them. You can see what others are reading, especially your friends that you get linked to. You can get suggestions for other reads, and even though you are, or we're talking in the context of being an author, you're hoping that your book, when it's out there, gets referred to as well. So you'll want to see how best to promote on there. You can promote via pay-per-click advertising. We will be talking about that later, but this basically means you have an online ad that shows up, and if someone clicks on it, they'll go right to where your link is, whether it's on this site or your website, but you'll pay something for the privilege of having someone directed directly to your page. That's pay per click. If the ad pops up and no one clicks on it, you don't pay for it, but when they click on it, you do pay. Issue is another interesting website for authors. So their mission, this is what they say, connecting content to people. That's what they want to do, and what we're all putting out there and writing is our content. So more common for magazines, newspapers, catalogs, literature, DIY guides, happens to be the audience that's typically there. I don't know if they've branched out or if they're getting a larger group of novels and book writers and such. But of course, if you begin to publish or promote your information digitally, this may be a way to expand, sorry, just splashed myself, expand your audience or to other audiences by going to issue as well. They give you all the tools you need to publish the content online on their site, issue.com. And they do have a free subscription. It does have unlimited uploads. This is when I last looked at it earlier in the year. But it comes with ads. Ads are going to pop up, and so you may decide that that's annoying. So it starts at $19 a month, and they give you other features, access to more users, and no ads. So this may be of interest to you as well. If you think you can get a lot of value out of using Issue, after starting using it for free, switch to the monthly subscription. Okay, but at least you can try it for free before you buy it. Scribed, and here's their website. Again, all these links, you can click on them when you download the PDF at any time. So this is a reading subscription service that's available anytime on any device. They really want to show you that you can take your content anywhere. It could be mobile phones, tablets, doesn't really matter. And to tell you the truth, even though that's the way they're promoting themselves, most of the sites are doing that as well. They are very savvy at being promotable on other platforms as well. When I last counted, their digital library had a catalog of over 500,000 audiobooks and print books. So certainly smaller than an Amazon.com, but another place that you can be. You may find as you begin to understand your audience that your audience likes to hang out here online. So then this may be a place that you want to be. And again, it's an audience of authors or the members of authors and publishers and readers. You can publish up to what they call 100 megabytes. So I kind of estimated it. And so 1 megabyte is about 500 pages. So 100 megabytes is still a lot of stuff. Now, I can't tell you it's exactly 500, maybe it's 400 pages or 600 pages, but just to give you a guideline. So you do publish quite a bit. And so your subscription is kind of unlimited access to books, audiobooks, magazines, and documents. You can use it for free for 30 days. So when you're ready to try Scribe, try it, block out a good chunk of 30, we have 30 days to read for free. Otherwise, it's $9.99 a month. Kindle is an Amazon service. Probably should have moved this one up closer to the Amazon pages that I had before. You can explore over 1 million ebooks through Kindle. You can also publish your books in Kindle. And so they also have their Kindle apps that are available on almost any smartphone and tablet, including Amazon's own tablets as well. And so that's available. And again, because it's on different devices, you can download books onto any sort of device and use just the Kindle app. So I've got the Kindle app on my phone. Not a lot of Kindle books on my phone. I find it a little annoying to try and read on my phone. But your viewers may be very comfortable. Also remember, the younger your audience, the more likely they're going to use different technology. The older your audience will probably be more accustomed to paperback or hardcover. Young people don't want that. Okay? And so here's their cost for having access to all their content, $9.99 a month, or there's a 30-day free trial that gets you started. Or a lot of times what you can do with Kindle, which is nice on Amazon, you can just download the one book that they want and just pay for that. But if you have a Kindle subscription, it's free for $9.99 a month. You just download what you want. So Kindle may be a great place, as I mentioned earlier with some of the Amazon publishing tools, great place of where to put your content in an online form. What about some of the big websites, the big platforms, the big apps that we all have heard about? They're big, yeah. And we talked a little bit about them in those B2B and B2C slides as well. Facebook, bottom line, over 2.8 billion users, billion with a B. 65% of US residents have a Facebook account. So there's a good chance you or someone you know has a Facebook account. Their niche, a bit more oriented towards a consumer audience. It's not that business is not there, but business is there. And they're also promoting to a more consumer-oriented audience. So for a lot of you that are writing not very technical or business-oriented books and information, this may be another great place to be. Facebook is free. They make their money with advertising. You can advertise if you want, boost articles and stuff like that. We're not talking about how to do that and how to click on getting that done, but that's all available. LinkedIn is the #1 website for reaching a business audience. So I'm actually active on LinkedIn. I have a Facebook page. I'm not active on Facebook. The reason why I'm active on LinkedIn, my clients are small business and not-for-profit organizations. So my clients are businesses. And so if you want to reach a business audience, they have a very wide range. They are the #1 site for doing that. LinkedIn is terrific for that. LinkedIn, you'll also find, is not a site for sharing a lot of pictures with family members and stuff. Just not geared for that. It's just really effective at getting information out. Twitter, a tremendously big platform to inform followers of recent events, recent activities, recent accomplishments. Maybe you're going to do a book reading at your local bookstore. You might want to write a tweet. It's only 240 characters, so if you're able to write a multi-page book, I'm sure you can come up with 240 characters, and then write, I will be at the ABC bookstore on November 5th to read the opening chapter of my book. Now, who gets to see it? People that are following you. So you do need to be on Twitter for a while. You'll want to start following other people. They'll be told that you're being followed, and they'll follow you in turn as well. And over time, your audience in Twitter will be able to get a little bit larger. They don't measure their audience in in total users. They measure it in active users. So the last I counted, Twitter had over 340 million users on the platform, but they promote it as 192 are active daily. So that's pretty good. Blogging, this is what I always enjoyed doing, writing these short articles or posts. I blog on my website. That's where I like to do it. So it could be a separate page on your website, or it can be an entire website, its own, dedicated to blogging. You write these articles, give or take 500, 600, 700 words, kind of like a full page. If you're really going to write a thesis, it's probably not a blog. If you're going to write something of discovery, you probably don't want it as a blog. But if you're going to give your opinion on something, or expand on something, or tell people more about something that you've already written about in the past, you might be able to develop an audience of people that will follow you and ask questions of you and engage with you. But at the very least, it's an additional way to put content out in the world of social media. Content is king. And so that's what becomes very important. So blogging is a great way to do it. So a few short paragraphs, it could be your opinion. It could be snippets of your book. One woman that I worked with, she put several chapters of her book, not the whole book, but several of them out there. And you may find other websites, other blog sites that are out there. See if you can contact those blog site owners, if you can contribute to theirs. A lot of blog site owners look for other people to promote content. For some of them, it's a win-win. I get more content without writing it. Of course, you'll want to just make sure if you're doing that, if you have others writing for you, just read through what they're writing, make sure it still meets your mission. And it also helps promote to the people that find you and follow you more about your interests or expertise or your passion. So this is a very popular thing to do, blogging. It's actually a shortened word, blog. In the 90s, the mid to late 90s, the concept first came up, and we were calling everything a website. So they called this a web log, 2 words, web log. In the early 2000s, it got shortened to blog. Oh, Lynn has a question. Yeah, so please unmute yourself, ask away.
All right, so I'm on my phone. You can hear me?
I hear you.
All right, so let's say I write 2 or 3 paragraphs and I send it out, I post it on Facebook. Should I also put it in my blog? Like, you know, can you put the same content on 3 or 4 places, or is that overkill? Like,
well, so there's 2 schools of thought. I'll tell you what I like to do. And I can tell you with 100% certainty that this is my opinion. It's not 100% fact. What I like to do is I like to post my blog content on my blog site, on my website. That's where I like to post it. It's super easy to copy and paste it and put it anywhere else you want. No problem doing that. If your audience likes that, then you do it. But what I do instead, when I'm on Facebook or Twitter or any place else, LinkedIn, I don't copy and paste it to those places. I write a mini post. Hey, I just posted on the challenges of data backups and being effective. Read the article at here, www.techtopicsforyou.com/data backups. So I use these other sites and direct the reader back to my website. Remember the Spoken Hub? So I subscribe to the Spoken Hub. Your website is in the center. Facebook might be here on one outside. LinkedIn could be outside there. And then Twitter at the bottom. So I like to do it that way. And then that way, all they have to do when they see your post on Facebook, they click and then open up your website and go right to your page. So that's what I like.
So then could you have teaser, let's say I write something that's a page, but then I have 2 paragraphs of teaser copy on Facebook, Twitter, directing them to my website, right? That's the ultimate goal. That's where I'm selling books.
I like the teaser concept. That's what I like. That's what seemed to work for me. Now, I can tell you that this one life coach client that I said I have one client who writes 5 days a week. She's written 5 days a week for, I've known her 4 years now. She's now published her first book, which are her favorite blog posts, and she's going to be publishing her second book the same way. What we tried to do is change the way she was doing it. Don't send the article out, send the teaser out, and bring people back to your website. And she tried it for less than a week when she started getting complaints from her readers. Her readers liked getting the content in email directed. So what we did is we posted it in her blog site and we auto send the whole thing out in email, so her email list is getting it directly. Her readers were used to it, they liked it, we stuck to it. I was hoping to get her readers to come back to her website and maybe piddle around some of the other pages, but her readers were already dug in. So there's no one right way, but there could be a best way for you. You could try it one way for a few weeks, try it another way for a few weeks, and see where you're getting the best traction.
So then if you directing people to your blog, you need a purchase button there. Purchase my book.
Well, it depends what you do. You talked about blogging a post. They're not going to buy your post per se, but certainly for your book, yeah, you can have a purchase button. And yep, it could be a link. If you're on Amazon, you can link right to your Amazon page or your Barnes & Noble page. If you want to do the selling yourself, you can have like a PayPal button. And then as soon as you get paid, you could mail the book out yourself. You could do that.
Okay, thank you. Helpful.
Good. Good, good, good. Next questions. Oh, look, perfect timing. So if you have any other questions, maybe picking up on what Lynn just asked about or anything else, certainly feel free to do so. Remember, you don't get to ask questions when you watch this on video later.
Hi, it's Louise. This has been great. Unfortunately, I have to get somewhere else, so I will listen to the rest of the talk when it's posted. So this has been fabulous. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Just to give you the short, it will be posted on my website. It's not being posted on Princeton Adult School. PrincetonTechAdvisors.com. PrincetonTechAdvisors.com. And then from there, there's a menu item called workshops. So this is, I do lots of different business and job seeker workshops, and then you'll go to recent presentations, and this will be there.
Yeah, I'm going to have to leave also, but I agree. I think this has been extremely helpful. I think you've laid it out, you know, in a way that makes it very accessible and much easier to think it through rather than just being, you know, thinking of it as a whole mass of, you know, social networking. You know, it's like an elephant in the room.
I love that analogy, the elephant in the room. Right, it's overwhelming. You can't eat the elephant, but
exactly.
The joke is, how do you eat the 500-pound elephant? It's one bite at a time.
And it's interesting because some of this, of course, I'm doing. I have a piece that's coming out tomorrow in Hyperallergic, you know, which is a kind of go-to online journal that the art world, you know, uses. So it's kind of nice to have one's, you know, instincts validated as well. And then I joined Facebook, and it was a really interesting experience. I see why people, you know, really get addicted to Facebook. It's really kind of fun. But I also, just even in the one or two things that I've posted. It took me a while to figure it out, to tell you the truth. And then once I posted, then I got, responses from people in the art world that I haven't seen, or been in touch with for 15 years. So,
Sure.
it's really, I like what you had to say about, what social networking platforms are the audience that you want, which ones are they using, and that was extremely helpful. And also,
thank you.
And I understand Twitter a little bit more from what you were saying as well. So, so thank you. I really appreciate it. I signed up for your session last spring, and then I never got sent the link. And then, so I signed up again, and I still didn't get the link. This is not your fault. It's the adult school.
No, what happens is I sent the email out the other day, and my email could have wound up in your spam folder, unfortunately.
No, I looked. But anyway, it didn't matter because I got in touch with Ann Brenner, and she was able to, give me the link. So I'm really glad that, I did this, and I'll look forward to seeing the rest.
And you're welcome to contact me if you have other questions along this line, and if I can help you, I'm happy to. Okay. And for those of you that can stick around, we still have a lot more information. So for those,
so tell me again, what's your website where this will be posted?
You know what? Let me see. Can I quickly jump ahead? Right there. So it's PrincetonTechAdvisors.com. That's the website. And then I have these arrows in this picture here. And so there's workshops and recently offered programs. And all my programs since 2014 are there. You can go through all of them. Any of them of interest, you're welcome to. Even my prior Princeton Adult School classes. So I don't think I'm giving anything away, because the benefit I think people have by participating in the class is asking the questions.
Sure. So thank you very much.
You're welcome. Let me go back to that slide. So have a good evening. Good. So let's go here. So we said website, my opinion is the website as the center of your hub. So we will talk about websites right now, and we'll talk about other things, other tools as well. So your website, you want it to be what's called mobile or responsive. You want it to be written or designed such that if someone uses a laptop computer or a regular monitor that's kind of rectangular, the screen displays that way in a nice and easy way. As they go down to laptop, tablet, which tends to be square, a phone, which turns to be vertical, or you can turn either way. You want the website to be able to adjust itself. So you might have a website that has a couple of pictures across, but as it gets squozed down and open, the pictures might become more horizontal than, rather more vertical than horizontal. So those of us that do web programming now, all these templates that are out there for web design are built that way. Just be aware, you want to make sure. And by the way, if you hire a web programmer who says, oh, I charge $100 more to make it responsive, walk away. There's no reason why that's the case. We no longer have to write the responsive and mobile code. It's now built into these platforms. But you want it to deliver and view web pages on various viewable sizes. So again, tablets and monitors and phones. It could be a desktop computer to tablet to mobile. It will automatically adjust. So that way on a small appliance, it won't look like an eye chart. And for us as web designers, it's just easy for us to do. It's very flexible. Also, millennials. Millennials don't have a big computer and a big monitor. 20% of them don't have that. So if your audience is going to be younger, you're going to want to make sure you can reach on a smaller platform. I remember, let's see, my nephew is about 5.5 years ago when he graduated from high school and was getting ready for college. I had asked him the question, are you going to buy a new laptop before you go to college? And he kind of dropped his head down. He says, yeah, I have to. They require it. So, man, they were inconveniencing him to use a laptop. I think he preferred to use a smartphone for everything. About the content, you want it to be descriptive, but you don't want it to be too wordy. Think about it. You don't want people to see so much that they get turned off. especially if you think of your website as a hierarchy with the home pages at the top, and then you might have a menu with some other main pages, but from the menu pages, you can drill down. The further you drill down, the more you can write, because your reader is becoming vested in what you're talking about. But the higher you are, you want less words. You want to identify words and phrases that people use to search for content that's like yours. And we call those keywords. And these are what others may use, not just what you think are used. For example, I had met one gentleman at a writers conference a number of years ago, about 3 years ago, and he and I were talking in this very topic. And I asked him, well, tell me about your book. And he says, well, it takes place in the Midwest. My character's name is such and such, and my character does this, and my character does that character. So I think one of my keywords should be the name of my character. And I said, I don't think so. He said, no, it's very important. People have to know my character. And I agreed. They have to know your character, but if they're doing a web search, they don't yet know your character. Don't, fill your content with stuff that's specific to your book that people may not look for. So we began to talk about what's the genre of the book, where does it take place, what's the setting. And so what we found out was, what he wrote was novel stories on 19th century Wild West real events. So there were real events like Custer's Last Stand, but a story about a character that may not have been there. So that's the novel part, the fiction part. So he said, you have to talk about Custer's Last Stand. You have to talk about, Little Bighorn, things like that. Put that in the content. Adding images and video creates interest. A picture's worth 1,000 words. I guess a video's worth 1,000 pictures. So you'll get a lot of more attention. We are very visual beings, people are. So you'll get a lot of attention on your website that way. Add links on your website to other websites. And you may say, I don't want them to leave my website. Yeah, but you kind of do. Because what happens is, in the Google world, when Google wants to understand just what is relevant about your website, it will look at who you're linking to. And in Google's database, it will make an association. Oh, I see, it's hooking to her website or his website. And these are similar. So this website makes sense to me when people do Google searches. How long should the videos be? Again, it depends on what you're publishing. So my videos, because it's classes like this, are an hour plus. If they're more infomercial-like, they may want to be 30 seconds or a minute. So it all depends on who your audience is. So that was a question posted by Lynn.
Thank you.
No, you're welcome. And your content among the different places on your website and even across the different social media sites must all have a similar theme, must all be related by those keywords. You don't have to publish the same content in multiple places, but the same type of content, the same type of information has to kind of jive together. Because when they're found all over the place by these bots that are snooping, you're going to want to make sure that the bots understand that the content is relatable. But certainly on your website, your content should be relatable. If you have 3 different interests, for instance, if you are writing about the Wild West, if you are also writing about gardening, and then you are also writing about pet care, animal care, fine. My opinion is have 3 different websites, each with the individual content, because Google and some of your other users won't understand what's the meaning of all these sites all these content together. Those things may not logically go together. Put them on separate websites, the different types of content. You'll also want calls to action. You'll want things that people do. And so it's some sort of image or text or something that prompts them, something they can click on. We like spinning objects. We like to click. It's kind of like the cat smacking the light. That's kind of what we are. So give them something to do. Calls to action, engage people on your website. We get bored very easily. If there's nothing to do or entice us to do something, we may leave the website quickly. We want them to stay on our website as long as possible. So add effective calls to action because it does increase the effectiveness of your message. You're hoping to sell your book, and that's what e-commerce is, electronic commerce. So what is it? It's basically buying and selling products or services via any of those electronic channels. And that's what e-commerce is. So you kind of see that cute little picture of the shopping cart coming out of the monitor. It's also known as online shopping. And so your e-commerce can be in any of a number of places. People electronically buy and sell services and goods without barriers of time or distance. So if you have an e-commerce page on your website, if you've got pages on Amazon and bnn.com, they can buy it at 3 in the morning and not worry about that you're awake or not. They could try different currencies. They can buy different distances. So e-commerce really can be very helpful in some cases. There are different tools out there that you can use for building electronic commerce, right? eBay. eBay is an old online auction site. They give or take, they're also around the mid-90s. So they're probably about 25 years old as a website. They used to be primarily an auction website where we bid on things. I used to like using eBay, but it has become more of a buy it now type of a site. So you just see buy it now, but you can buy stuff. And people sell. I've sold some things on eBay, so it works out well. They do take a commission of the sale. Amazon is a great place to buy and sell stuff. So you can create your own store on Amazon. I put this one there. I actually bought this mat. I have this mat. So that's the picture of it. And you can see it circled. Matt's Factory is selling it. Amazon is just the vehicle by which the Matt's Factory is promoting it. So you can do the same thing. You can have your own e-store on Amazon. You can on eBay as well. On your own website, you can have places to check out, buy it now, that sort of thing. And when you do that, it can be kind of simple. This is a career coach, client of mine. And so she's selling her services. You can get a 1-month coaching session, a 3-month coaching session, and you pay here. She gets notified, and now she can, how she keeps track of it on her own is her own business. So this is a way to do it. And then there are the e-commerce platforms. Here are a few of them. Shopify is the biggest out there. It's #1, where really what you're doing is you're not on quote unquote Shopify. Shopify is a web building platform for e-commerce. So when you're done building the website, it'll be with your web address, with your logos, all that kind of stuff. That's what these tools are meant to do. They're not just meant to build websites, but what they are meant to do is to allow you to build an e-commerce website with all the e-commerce tools built in. So it becomes a lot easier if that's the focus. If you're going to build a website that's just informational, you're not selling anything, I would not use Shopify. You might want to use WordPress or Wix or Weebly, Squarespace, one of those other ones. Some best practices. You do want to make a very good first impression, because you never get a second chance to make a first impression. So all your content also has to display well, not just on your web pages, but practice on the mobile devices as well. And also have a place where you can have customer reviews, because once you get a couple of good customer reviews, it'll generate some buzz. You want to make it very easy to make a purchase. That might be having a cart button on every page. Show your prices right up front. There's one practice that Best Buy does that I don't like. So Best Buy, the big electronics retailer, buy TVs, computers, and stuff. They have a good reputation for their customer service and their product availability. Every once in a while, when I shop online, it says, "Click here to put this product in the cart, and then we'll show you the price." I don't know if they're thinking, well, if they put it in the cart, then they'll buy it. I think that's kind of rude. Just show me the price. If you're going to show me the price in the cart, show me the price on the web page. Have appealing shipping options, free shipping or unlimited shipping for a price or something like that, and make it easy for them to check out. Okay? And also be prepared to fulfill your orders. So if you hit the lottery and all of a sudden in your first week you get 1,000 sales, you better have 1,000 packages or boxes or mailing labels and boxes and all that stuff. So make sure that you are prepared accordingly. Or you may want to, which Amazon and the others do, you can have them fulfill for you. You'll pay a fee, So you'll give up some of your upfront profit, but you won't be paying it on a back end by buying boxes and other labels and things as well. So it may make more sense, but be prepared to fulfill your orders. So the social media platform that's right for you, you cannot be on every social media platform. It is just not possible to do so. So which is the best one? You have to determine which social media platform is most relevant for your audience. What's right for me may not be right for you. I cannot tell you that Facebook is the best one for you, or YouTube is the best one, or LinkedIn is the best one. You have to understand your genre, your audience. Where does your audience shop? You may be very relatable to your audience, and think about where you shop, where you are online, where you like to read, and where you see other people of a similar, have similar likes. See where your competitors are. Are there authors in your space? Where do they like to promote? Which sites are good for them? Now, sometimes people, when I mention this, will say, especially the in-person class, they raise their hand and say, no, I don't want to be where my competitors. I want to stand out from my competitor. Yeah, I get it. But the thing is, if your audience is already shopping where your competitors have figured out where they are, you want to be in the same place. I'll give you a couple examples. Years ago, if you're over a certain age, you may remember shopping malls, that was before all online shopping, had restaurants. And they had lots of restaurants in different corners of the mall. The restaurants did not want to compete with each other. Now malls have a food court. Malls have figured out that, especially with families who go shopping at malls, the families go to the mall. One kid wants a hot dog, one kid wants a slice of pizza, mom wants Chinese food, whatever it is. They go to the food court and they can easily sit together with different food at different stores. So you want to be where your competitors are, because your audience may not have figured out you're the right one until they see you. So that's an analogy for that. Okay? And you're going to have to try some of these. You'll have to experiment. You'll have to measure how many likes and things am I getting, how many comments am I getting, how many purchases ultimately. You might try to make some adjustments. Did it improve? Did my measurements, did it turn away? If it's, you find the things that work well, you stick with them. The things that don't work well, you turn away from. Don't spend time there. So what to do next? Pick that one tool that you will start to use. Remember, how do you eat the 500-pound elephant? One bite at a time. Social media, digital marketing is overwhelming. It's a tremendous topic. There's just too much out there, especially when you're new to it. So find and pick the one tool that's good to use. Then the next thing, create an account, sign up. Maybe start with a free account. So just start with that one. If you need to, get some how-to assistance. You might find webinars, you might find YouTube videos, ask other people that you know their observations and opinions about using something that you want to use. You can find consultants in some cases, or someone that'll work with you on a part-time basis who are very good at digital marketing. So if you could budget that way, that may be important too. And then you get started with that one. When you get good at one, then you can move on to number two. I'll just take a quick break because we'll talk about analytics. This helps you understand how you figure out the performance of your social media strategy. So how you doing out there? I know a couple of people have left. Any questions on what we talked about so far? Or any more questions?
I have questions, but I'm going to save them for the end, I think.
Okay.
Can we have a quick bathroom break?
Sure. I'll play Jeopardy music.
All right.
Yeah. So if we want to take a break now, yeah, why don't we take a minute or two? And when you come back, Lynn, or if Lynn and Bob both walk away, I'll wait till you both come back. Me personally, I'm just going to sit here.
Okay, 3 minutes. Thank you.
Yep. And okay. Don't take your phone into the bathroom. It actually happened. I'm on a board of a local chamber of commerce, and one of the fellows he was just listening to the board meeting, not on his computer, on his phone. And we didn't know because we just saw his name. We didn't see him. His camera wasn't on. And all of a sudden we heard a flush. And we knew it was him because the square lit up around him, so we knew it came that way. So I get it. We're all humans, it's human nature. But he could have put his phone on mute at that moment. But we didn't tell him, so maybe he didn't feel any embarrassment. There's also a video, it's been posted a million places on YouTube, and it's called Poor Jen. Poor Jen, I think it's Jen. And someone had recorded a Zoom session while it was going on. And one of the people, a young lady, I guess in her 20s, her name is Jen, she was watching on her laptop, and then she got up, carried her laptop into the restroom, put it on the floor so she can look down at the laptop while she was using the toilet. And everyone else on the call, about 8 or 10 people, had to stop. And they go, oh, no, I don't see that. I'm not watching it. So poor Jen got caught. And I don't think there was anything really seen. I mean, other than, her exposed hip.
Yeah.
I think, but
fortunately, you don't get any olfactory information.
Right. So, that wasn't there, or.
So did I hear you at the very beginning say that you yourself or you knew someone who consulted with people who are trying to find publishers?
Yeah, so there's a woman that I know who is a publishing consultant. Her name is Karen Hodges Miller. And so she is a publishing consultant. So I've met her through my business network. I gave a presentation much like this for she used to have an authors conference. And so if you want, in the email that I sent to you the other day, if you want to write back to me and ask me to introduce you to Karen, very sweet lady. She's in Bucks County, so should be fairly nearby.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yep, Open Door Publications. But if that's the case, Robert, what I ask is just send me an email, because that way I'll be sure I have your permission, and I'll have your email address, which I actually have anyway, but it'll just remind me that way. So Lynn, what we were saying was, Robert was asking if I know a publishing consultant. I do know a woman named Karen Hodges Miller. She's in Bucks County. She's a publishing consultant. And so if you're interested in getting connected to her, send me an email later in the next couple of days, and I will facilitate an email introduction.
Thank you.
And full disclosure, I don't get paid by her. I don't get any commissions, just friends helping a friend.
I understand.
All right, so let's talk a little about analytics. What's funny about this topic, I did this presentation at a writers conference, actually Karen's writers conference, and it was on the second day of the conference. And the first day of the conference, I met a lot of the participants, and someone said, oh, I'm very interested in what you're going to write about, and I'm really interested in Google Analytics. And I was thinking, oh my goodness, I didn't put analytics in the website. And so that evening, I quickly put slides, which became what these are. But with analytics, you get to monitor the ongoing performance of your website, your social media site, your other web pages. And if you need, you can make changes so that your performance, you can understand if the changes meet your performance. So the things that you want to do, you want to measure results of the effectiveness of your social media program. You want to identify what works. If I write something a certain way, publish a certain way, is that working? It can help you then make better decisions as you start going towards other websites and platforms. And you then really focus your time and effort, and if there's an investment, on the ones that are the most productive for you, rather than just kind of throwing a bowl of spaghetti on the wall. And so you want to ask yourselves, am I achieving my social media goals? And analytics can help you answer that to some extent. So to use them, the tool that's most common for your website, it's a very big tool, is Google Analytics. This is for your website. It's completely free. The website is analytics.google.com, analytics.google.com. You get to see where visitors are coming from, which pages they're clicking on. If there are links on your pages, are they clicking on those links? Bounce rates, which means they're coming to a web page and leaving very quickly. How many minutes they stay on. you basically see, and then from where you see, you get to see not only the country, the state, right down to the zip code. You don't get to see the person. You don't get to know that I specifically looked at your website. They don't disclose that. But you may be seeing, where is your audience coming from? You can make decisions on that. In social media, you're doing things like how many clicks, likes, follows, comments, all those things. How many impressions? How many people are seeing your content? How many people are forwarding and promoting your content? So that begins to be told as well. You decide what to do with the information. So, Google and the social media sites don't recommend what to do with the analytical information. One of the things I do publish my articles, my blog topics, and then I put these little blurbs and teasers on LinkedIn and other places. I was typically getting a couple of hundred hits. I mean, not real massive stuff. I did one on virus protection. I got over 10,000. I still haven't figured out what to do other than write about virus protection, and I don't write only about virus protection, but that topic drew a big audience. So you're able to fine tune your strategy based on the results of your activity, because these analytics will tell you how your activity is performing. So as we sum up, social media is using the internet to share information among people. That's what social media and digital marketing strategy is, using the internet to share information among people. It absolutely includes your website. It can include e-commerce, social media platforms, and much, much more. And remember a lot of those social media platforms that I showed you earlier in the program. You're going to want to monitor and tweak the tool or tools that you use. Hopefully analytics in those tools will be able to help you, but you'll then want to tweak the content, and you'll measure the performance, and all that will help you to be more efficient and effective in how you're using social media and your social media strategy. And just get started with one. As you get started and comfortable with that one, then you can move on to another. And when you get started with the second one, more comfortable with the second one, it'll be a bit automatic. You can move on to another one then as well. But social media is big. It is the 500-pound gorilla in the room. And so how do you eat the 500-pound gorilla? One bite at a time. So just get started with one. So there is my slide deck. I popped that up real quick a little while ago. Here it is again. So my website is princetontechadvisors.com, princetontechadvisors.com. My contact information is there. You're free to contact me. No worries at all. On the website, you'll click on the workshop menu item or tab. So that's what we're actually displaying here. And then at the bottom, click on recently offered programs. Right now, this will be the program at the top. By next week, it'll be the second program, because as I do new presentations or programs, they scroll down a little. And if you want to go back to prior programs, the bottom of the page has links to prior years as well. This is a PDF. Remember, I said the links are clickable, so you can download it and click on the links if you'd like. So thank you. This is the time for any last questions. And again, there's my contact information if that will be helpful. But before we sign off, if you've got any questions, again, I'm happy to hang around with you for a little while longer.
I always have questions, but okay. Robert, you want to go first, Robert? Rob?
Go with yours.
All right. So my target market are teachers, professors, and parents. So where are they? Like, how do I find out where they are and where they're chatting?
So I've never researched where teachers and parents are. So I don't have good insight into you. One place they likely are on Facebook, because parents and teachers in schools do use Facebook for information. But what you may want to try doing is go to a couple of local school district websites and see where they say they're posting information. It can even be something as simple as our school closure information is on Twitter, and you might see something like that. So you'll have to do your own sort of Google search and put in keywords and phrases. You might start with teachers, you might start with students, PTA, Parent-Teacher Association, all these different things. And then what that'll also help you is if you put in Parent-Teacher Association and you get a lot of good results, you're going to want to put parent-teacher association as your keywords. Because if it's coming up and you're getting a lot of sites that are relevant to you, you'll want Google to start to understand that you may associate with them. So as you write your website content and your blog and your other social media content, you may want to use the keywords that you've discovered are effective in your own Google search.
Right. So you can't tag it. It has to go in the body of the copy.
You can
Right.
absolutely tag it. But Google, we didn't talk about search engine optimization. It's a very big topic. But what Google does is Google reads your website. And Google also reads hidden spaces on your website that you and I as visual readers won't see. So there's a lot of stuff behind the scenes in a website that Google will also look for. So you can usually find those if you build your own website. You can associate keywords to images, keywords to links. You can update the name of your page. I actually had one client who came to me for an SEO project, and each web page, not the home page, but each additional was named page 1, page 2, page 3. So if I were to ask you right now, what's page 3, you have no idea. But if page 3 was called technical services, there's a good chance that's what it's about. And so Google also reads the web address name of each page. So it looks at all that stuff.
That's a good tip. Okay, my second question is, so I do have a social media person. I have a full-time job, and I don't have time to do this.
Yeah.
I took your webinar because I want to know more than she does. So here's a tough question.
Uh-oh.
Well, how much should I pay her every month? And I know half of what I pay her goes into ads. How do you figure out what your budget is for ads? And the last question is, how do I know if she's good?
So you need to understand what your goals of hiring someone like her are. Are your goals sales? If your goals are sales and she's charging you and you're seeing conversions of clicks and views into sales, then you know if she's good. Is she better than the next one next door? I don't know. The way you tell is you can ask other people, who do you use? What's your experience? How do you like the way they communicate back to me? Are they keeping me informed? So there's that. Some people do it as a package price, and they'll say, I'll make up a number, $100 a month, and here are the things I will do for you. Some people will say, this is the hourly rate. If you call me a lot more often and I do more work, you'll pay a little bit more. If you call me less, you do a little bit less. You pay a little bit less. And in some cases, the value that you get from the work may not necessarily be the conversion to a purchase. For instance, I do have blog posts, but I don't sell any blog posts. I don't sell what I write. What I'm doing is as a secondary support service for my clients to better understand me. That's my goal. So you may be paying someone that $100 a month. Are you getting more clients for the services and support that you're offering, even though you're not selling something specifically? So you'll have to come up with your metrics for what's important to you and the audience that they're trying to reach. Have the conversation with him or her to make sure that you understand what they're going to give you for that price. And do you have a budget in mind? Can they meet that budget?
Okay, thank you.
Or as my friend used to say, it depends. That's the short answer.
Yeah, right. The contingency theory.
Yeah. So any other questions?
I was going to offer that I think most teachers are members of AFT, the American Federation of Teachers, and almost all college professors are members of AAUP.
What is it? AUB?
AAUP, American Association of University Professors.
Wow.
Once a university is unionized, you're sort of forced to be a member of it. It's one of the few viable unions still left in America. Now they have mailing lists, but I'm sure they charge for access to it. But it's certainly one way to reach professors.
And do look
Thank
in
you. I
chat.
feel
Robert put his contact information in chat. And so if
yes,
you want,
I already got it. I got it. But thank you, Robert, because
Sure, sure.
I've been told my book is good for undergraduate students.
Yeah, the book on a book on empathy. Actually, I'm very interested in. I'm a clinical psychologist, and I actually trained with someone who was a student of Carl Rogers, who probably was the person most responsible for getting people
Oh,
into
Carl Rogers. He's
application.
the father of everything.
Right, right. So, and I actually knew him. I'm old enough to have been in a couple of workshops that he ran. So, I mean,
Oh
I'd love
my
to talk to you
goodness.
about your book. I'd like to see it. And
All
I,
right. So
I
this is
emphasize,
fabulous. I have you R. Wool at Rutgers. Okay.
right,
I'm
right.
going to.
Yeah, love to see you and see your book. It'd be, very
and
interesting.
actually for both of you, at the top left of your screen, there's a GoToMeeting logo or icon with a little down arrow. If you click on that, there's a drop-down menu, and one of the items is save the chat log, and you can just save this chat right to your computer.
Oh, wow.
Wow. Never knew that.
Where,
Very
where,
cool.
it's,
That's included in the price of admission. There's
where,
Very cool.
do I
another
find?
organization that may be helpful, Higher Education Resource Consortium, HERC, HERC. And I'm active helping job seekers. They have a HERC Jobs website. You might piddle around on their website, HERC, Higher Education Resource Consortium, and see if there's some way you can become a member or promote or, by advertising, something like that. And then another thing, contact them and say, where's a good place for someone like me to promote? And they may have their list. So when you reach out and talk to somebody, the group that Robert talked about, or the one I mentioned, one question you should always ask is, who else do you recommend I speak with to get more information?
Very good. That's a great tip. Thank you.
Yep. Anything
So,
else? Yep.
just Robert. Is it Rob or Robert?
Rob.
Okay. Just, people like to be called what they like to be called.
Yeah, although I've had to be flexible.
Just don't call them late for supper.
Yeah.
Okay. And David, you're David or Dave?
David.
David. Okay. Got it.
And what's funny about that is one of the few people that calls me Dave is my mother. Even though I personally like David, my wife calls me David, which I enjoy, but I'll answer the email.
We'll call you David.
So,
Definitely David.
So any other questions before you wrap up? If not, we will wrap up, and I'll end the recording at that time as well. And you can revisit, go to my website. Hopefully, if I don't fall asleep, I'll get this done tonight. But if not, by the weekend. It's an added service that I provide, so that's why I do it at my leisure.
Well, I want to thank you. This was fabulous. I have 3 pages of notes, and I feel more informed, to manage the process.
And if any of these sites are of specific interest, whether it's Facebook or YouTube or others, check the Princeton Adult School website, see if they have a course that deep dives into one of the topics you learned about.
Very good.
So, all right, well, thank you very much. I enjoyed the opportunity to be here with you this evening. And so here's my contact information if I can help you at all, or if you want information about, getting a website, or if I can be of service to you, I'm happy to. And but if not, thank you once again, and maybe I'll see you at another class.
Thank you very much.
Thank you,
You're
David.
welcome. Have a good night. You're welcome. Have a good night.